Oh, yes, we have to talk about this, man. Shout out to Dan Orlovsky. Now, Dan Orlovsky, who works at Get Up, was one of the biggest Shedeur haters on the internet. Shout out to Dan Orlovsky, because of many people is drinking the Kool-Aid when it comes to the Browns. Not ESPN. They ain't drinking a damn Deshawn Watson Kool-Aid. Local media is, though. Based on local media, they're trying to convince the public that Deshawn Watson is better.
Oh yes, we have to talk about this man. Dan Orlovsky, one of the biggest Shedeur Sanders haters on the internet, just flipped the script live on ESPN. The guy spent all last year picking Shedeur apart. Today, the tone changed completely, and it did not happen by accident. It's sitting right there on the film. Stay with me, because this one's worth it. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Stop what you're doing, because this one hits different. This isn't about what got said, it's about who said it. And once that clicks for you, the whole thing changes. Think about the last 12 months. Think about who spent that entire stretch taking Shedeur Sanders apart piece by piece. Every incompletion under the microscope. Every rough series treated like evidence in a trial. This wasn't a random troll in a comment section. This was a national voice, week after week, building a case against him like it was his full-time job. And now that same voice is on ESPN, talking about growth. Let that sit for a second, because analysts don't do that. They don't walk back a full season of doubt because they woke up in a good mood. They don't hand out praise to a guy they buried just to be nice. That's not how this business works. Reputations get built on takes, and nobody gives back a take they were winning with, unless the film left them no choice. That's the part I need you to feel right now. A hater doesn't say that unless the tape made him say it. So ask yourself the real question, what did he see? And here's the setup that makes all of it make sense. There's a split happening in the coverage, and it tells you everything. On one side, you've got the local guys, the folks closest to the building, the ones with every reason in the world to protect the veteran, the bigger contract, the guaranteed money already sitting in the bank. Their story's been the same all off-season. Ride the vet, trust the name. But national media? They don't have a dog in that fight. No loyalty to protect. No paycheck riding on which quarterback wins the job. They just watch the film and say what they see. And when the people watching the actual tape stop repeating the story the hometown crowd is selling, that gap is the whole thing. That's where the truth lives. So this isn't a fan channel begging for a rookie to be good. This isn't me forcing something that isn't there. This is a guy who spent a full year on the other side of this argument, suddenly changing his tune on live television, and doing it with plays to back it up. The doubters are running out of room. You can feel it. The narrative that was airtight a few weeks ago is starting to leak, and once it starts leaking, it doesn't stop. Because here's what's coming. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm going to show you the exact moment the whole thing cracked. The actual snaps, the actual reads, the throw that flipped a hater in real time. The receipts are right there on the film, and trust me, you're going to want to see the first one. Here's what nobody wants to tell you straight. There's the story they're selling you, and then there's the tape, and those two things are not the same thing right now. Let's talk about the story first. On paper, this is supposed to be simple. You've got the veteran, the bigger name, the contract with the guaranteed money already locked in. Everything about the setup is built to protect that guy. The depth chart, the headlines, the off-season talking points, all of it points one direction. Ride the vet. Play it safe. Don't rock the boat. And Shedeur, he's the one climbing uphill. He's the one who has to be twice as good just to get half the benefit of the doubt. That's the reality. I'm not crying about it. I'm not making excuses. I'm just pointing at what's sitting right in front of all of us. Because when you actually turn on the film, the story falls apart. Watch the eyes. They're moving faster through progressions than they did a year ago. Watch the processing. Quicker, cleaner, more decisive. That panic you saw from him as a rookie last November, The confidence in the pocket looks completely different now. This isn't the same quarterback. This is a guy who went to work. And here's the part that should stop you cold. He wasn't even running with the ones. Second unit, backup offensive line in front of him, backup receivers running the routes. No real chemistry, no timing built up over months, no starters around him to make his life easier. That's who he had blocking. That's who he had catching, and he still put throws on tape good enough to flip a guy who spent a whole year hating on him. So think about what that actually means. If that's the floor, if that's what he looks like surrounded by backups getting blitzed on every snap, then what's the ceiling when he's out there with the ones? First team line, first team weapons, real routes at real speed instead of scramble drills. That's not hope talking, that's math. And this is where the split matters again. The reporters closest to the building keep selling you one thing. The national guys watching the same tape you can watch refuse to repeat it. One of those groups has a reason to protect a narrative. The other one just calls what it sees. So who are you going to believe? The talking points or your own two eyes? Because I know what I saw. And I'm telling you, the guy playing quarterback for the twos looked like he belonged with the ones. So here's my question for the front office, the one they keep dodging. Do you want to win or don't you? Because the answer's on the film and you're running out of ways to pretend it isn't. But I'll be fair with you, it wasn't all perfect, not even close. And that's exactly why this next part matters so much. Now let me be real with you, because if I only give you the good stuff, I'm no better than the people I'm calling out. This wasn't a flawless tape, and honestly, that's exactly why I believe it. Because here's what the breakdown actually showed. It wasn't all praise. That same analyst, the one who flipped his tone, he didn't stop there. He went right back to the film and started pointing at the problems. And they were real. There was the ball held a beat too long. That open, shallow route sitting right there. The easy completion, the free conversion, and it didn't come out fast enough. That's a real thing. That's a coaching point. That's the stuff that shows up on the screen Monday morning when the room goes quiet. Then there was the red zone, the ball security. And look, you cannot do that at this level. One loose handle down there and the whole possession flips. That's not a nitpick you brush off. That's a quarterback in the NFL who has to clean it up, period. And that 4th and 1 didn't get it. Turned to look into a scramble, threw the check down, the defense rallied, drives over. Those are the moments where urgency has to show up, and it didn't, not the way you want to see it. So no, I'm not sitting here telling you the guy walked on water, and I'll be honest with you, for a second, watching it, I thought maybe I got played. You know the feeling. You see the praise clip, you get hyped, and then you watch the whole thing and go, oh, okay, maybe I got ahead of myself. That you almost had me moment. I felt it too, but then it hit me. That's the whole point. Because think about who's saying this. A guy who only hands out praise the second the tone shifts. That guy's not credible. Everybody watching knows it. But a guy who names the flaws right next to the flashes, who tells you about the ball security and the outstanding throw in the same breath, and still walks away impressed, that's the version you can't argue with. Yeah, some of it looked like rookie Shedeur. He admitted that too. Flashes of the old tape. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But growth was never supposed to mean perfect. That's not what growth is. Growth means the same voice that buried this kid for a full year is now looking at the film and seeing something real. Problems and all. And here's the thing about those problems. They're fixable. Ball comes out quicker with reps. Ball security tightens up with coaching. That's not talent you either have or you don't. That's stuff you clean up. So what happens when he finally gets the reps that fix it? That's where this story really starts. You want to know what all of this really comes down to? One phrase: he's been in the lab. And when a guy who hated on you all year says that out loud on national TV, he's not guessing. You don't say somebody's been in the lab because you're feeling generous. You say it because you can see it on the film. So picture what that actually means. Picture the offseason nobody put on camera. While everybody was writing him off, he was working. The reps that don't make the highlight reel. The film study, alone, breaking down his own mistakes over and over. The mechanics rebuilt from the ground up, the footwork, the eyes, the confidence that got shaken as a rookie, brick by brick, put back together. That's not luck. That's not hype. That's a year of doubt answered with work instead of words. And it's showing up. The faster processing, that's the lab. The quicker eyes through progressions, that's the lab. The calm in the pocket that wasn't there last November, that came from somewhere. That's not hope. That's on tape. Now here's where it gets fun. Because remember, everything we just watched, he did it with the twos. Backup line, backup targets, scramble drills against guys blitzing him every snap, and he still made throws that flipped a hater. So let your mind go there for a second. Give this kid the ones. Give him a real offensive line that holds up an extra beat. Give him receivers running full-speed routes with real timing, real chemistry, not backups improvising. Give him the room he never had. What does that look like? I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like a completely different quarterback. The twos look like that. Wait for the ones. The pressure gets slower. The windows get wider. The checkdowns turn into first downs. The scrambles turn into strikes. And I'm gonna say it plain, so you can screenshot it and come back to me. The next time he gets real starter reps, he doesn't just look okay, he looks sharper. He plays winning football. Not perfect, winning. Because the flaws we talked about, those get cleaned up in the lab too. We've seen this movie before. A young quarterback gets doubted, buried, told he's not it, and then the light comes on, and everybody acts like they saw it coming. Think about how many times the guy who wasn't ready turned into the guy nobody wanted to face. It happens every single year in this league. And it's about to happen again. Because this isn't blind faith. This is evidence. The twos on tape. The critique from a former hater. The growth you can literally point to. Every piece of it stacking up in the same direction. So when people ask me why I believe, I don't point to hope. I point to the film. And that leads me to the one thing I've been building to this whole time, the thing I'm not backing off of. So let's zoom all the way out, because this is bigger than one throw and one broadcast. Here's the truth about this league that nobody says loud enough. Quarterbacks don't just get judged on production. They get judged on narrative. The story that gets attached to your name follows you around whether it's fair or not. And once that story sets, once the league decides who you are, it takes something undeniable to move it. Not a good game, not a hot streak, undeniable. And that's exactly what we just watched. A guy who spent a full year as one of the loudest critics this kid had, walking his own takeback, on national television, with specific plays to prove it. That's not a small thing. That's not somebody being polite. That's the ground moving. And here's what makes it hit even harder. It wasn't a throwaway compliment buried in the middle of some longer segment about somebody else. It was the headline of his own breakdown. He led with it. He built the whole thing around it. That's not a guy hedging. That's a guy who saw something and couldn't pretend he didn't. And that's how these things spread. Because it only takes one. One national voice flips, and the others start watching closer. Then one more sees it. Then another. And before you know it, the conversation heading into this season looks nothing like the one from a few weeks ago. That's how narratives break. Not all at once. One honest voice at a time. So let me bring it all the way back to where we started. Narrative versus evidence. The story they sold you versus the tape that told the truth. And evidence just won. But I'm not going to sit here and act like it's over, because you're smart and you'd call me on it. So let me hand this one to you. Tell me in the comments. Is this the moment a doubter finally sees what real fans have been screaming all along? Or is he one bad stretch away from crawling right back to the old take the second the lights get brighter and the games actually count? Because both of those things could be true, and I want to hear it. No filter, no holding back. Drop it below and let's get a real debate going down there. But here's where I stand, and I'm not moving off it. The truth was always on the film. It didn't change. The only thing that changed is that the rest of the world is finally catching up to it, and they're going to keep catching up, play by play. snap by snap, until the story they tried to sell you falls apart completely. So if you want the real breakdowns, the film, the receipts, the reactions from people who actually watch, you already know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because this story, it's just getting started.